Welcome back. We're playing more of the devil. We're playing more of the devil because we can. I need to see Morgan. Mother, I mean 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 mother. Mother? Obviously, I wasn't sure what would happen after I left that crime scene. Sorry, I just saw Chara's art on the timeline, but Twitter reset. I'm pissed. I love gay people. Whatever. Obviously, I wasn't sure what happened when I left that crime scene, and I wasn't sure what I'd find walking in here to speak to my client. But I definitely wouldn't have bet the next time I saw this man alive, he'd actually look worse. Did you not hear me? I said I'm your lawyer. Oh, I heard you. I'm just not interested in wasting my breath responding. I'm sorry, is there a misunderstanding here? Not at all. I understand exactly what you are. You and all your fellow... Your companion is staring at me very intently. That's just what she does. Sarah, blink. You're embarrassing me in front of the Yakuza. She forgot to blink! Dummy! Stupid! That's a very dated word. You'd really prefer I call you an orca? I prefer you give up and leave. What are you talking? I'm sure they told you I'd been softened up, that they'd broken me and I'd be ready to sign whatever you put in front of me. Sorry to disappoint you, but the Hound of Ikaria doesn't heal. Cool. Sarah, that's not the type of influence you want to take from. But then again, neither am I. Sasuke, I'm going to repeat myself plainly and slowly because you clearly have multiple head injuries. I am not a lawyer, I am your lawyer. Ah. Right then, very good. Thank you for coming. I apologize if I misspoke right now. I'd misspeak too if I lost as much blood as you. Morgan, Esquire, I'll be representing you from here on out. So how are we going to defend him while finding someone else to place the blame on? How are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? Or maybe we only find the murder of the cop? I don't know. That's really difficult. Sarah, paralegal and bartender. You were very young to have 2 jobs, or 10 bar. Well, it is only part-time. Ah, right. So tell us, Sasuke of House Ikuria, what is your routine? You look very fit. My what? Are you asking about... Do you not have me on file? Sorry, which firm are you from? DDD? MPM? I'm in private practice. You mean you're not a mob lawyer? No, but please don't hold it against me. Everyone has to start the path to corruption somewhere. There are serious risks involved in representing a man with my background against charges like these. They say I killed a cop, miss. I realize I may look a sorry saint at the moment, but I've not fallen so low that I'd sully the house's name by dragging a civilian into. Makoto thought differently. The young master, you've seen him. How is he? Where is he? Is he unharmed? What does that say? He's sitting atop a literal throne surrounded by armed guards last I checked. Thank you for that. No one's told me anything, and if the young master has spoken on this matter, I won't go against his judgment. But I do hope you understand what you're getting into. I'm already in it, Sasuke. How well I understand I'm in is something I think you'd be able to help with. So far, all I know about you is your first and last name. It's a very important last name, but I take your meaning. And in truth, the first thing you should know is that I'm not worthy of it. Why? You disqualified due to pre-existing conditions? I was born Sosuke Hayakawa, fourth son of a distant branch family. The only reason I bear the name of Ikuria is because I was adopted into the main house as an infant. In exchange for lifelong service to the main family. Sounds like a great deal! Lifelong? How did you serve the Ikuria as an infant? There are various tax benefits if you have exactly 2 children. Don't be absurd. I am what you would call a bodyguard. From the time I was able to walk, I was trained to be of service to the house by protecting the heir with my life. From the time you're able to walk, there are a lot of demand for toddler bodyguards. All that's ever been asked of me is that I stand in the right place at the right time. Banger. You mean like in family photographs? Like in front of a blade. Even a child can manage that. The house has given me everything I ever had and taught me everything I've ever known. What meager service I can offer in return means nothing compared to the debt I owe them. You view your relationship with your family as a transaction? It is not something so cold, girl. It is a matter of loyalty. Right. So if you were standing before a judge and they ask you your name and occupation, you would say, "My name is Chara Kaede, and I'm an eternal servant for a living. I work as head of personnel security for the Ikaria Financial Group." Now, what does that entail exactly? I'm the young master's bodyguard, and I lead all of his security teams. Nice to properly meet you. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. And I'm Sarah, paralegal and bartender part-time. Yes, I believe you already mentioned that. It seems that we were all doing it twice. Well, thank you for your paralegal services, Sarah. And here I had the impression you had no sense of humor. What do you mean? It seems in this particular instance, Adonai, it was you who misidentified as proper manners as being Glad we've all broken the ice. Makoto told me that this all started because you were taken captive yesterday. What happened? It was 2 p.m. The young master just finished a meeting with a VIP in Crane Tower, floor 108. 2 p.m.? He wasn't in school. I'll ask that you refrain from mocking the young master in my presence. He is a child, anyone can see that, but you have no idea of the pressures that have been placed upon him. Whatever my client wants. I was saying it was just after 2 p.m. Me and the rest of my team escorted him to the elevators along our planned exit route. But our lift stopped suddenly in between floors 61 and 62. That was when I made a mistake. I had a bad feeling. Thought it best to get Makoto to the ground floor. So I forced the elevator open, crawled out, and pulled him out after me. But just as he got out, the elevator started up again, separating us from the rest of the guard. It was a trap! The saying wasn't safe either. If they could stop the elevator, it's not a stretch to think they could drop it too. He just lost the coin flip when he decided to exit. Yes, Sarah, it was a trap. Floors 60 to 70 were undergoing heavy retrofitting, and the other elevators were responding. Comms were jammed. I'd reviewed the entire building's blueprints beforehand. Not very useful information, obviously, for a floor undergoing renovations, but I knew that there was a construction elevator we could get to on the other side of the tower. I had to act fast. There was no time to doubt myself, and I did something unforgivable. You left the kid? I picked him up over my shoulder. Oh, well that sounds like fun. Well, forgive me, everything the young master does is for the sake of his name's dignity, and I... Kids are tougher than you think. I think we'll get over it. So you... escorted him to the service elevator. I take it that's when things... Yes, I'm sorry, but I only remember a few vague details about what happened next. But I'll tell you what little I can. After I activated the lift, 2 assailants emerged from under a tarp doorway at my 7 o'clock. One tall, one thin. tall was around 190 centimeters, and his weight, I'd say 100 kilograms with the mod. Thin was maybe 175 centimeters, but slouched. Modded as well, but what I saw looked stripped down, so it couldn't have been heavier than 70 kilo. They had needle guns, slow to fire, and slow to take effect. A memorable choice. Heller shot first, jerked his arm when he pulled the trigger. A bad habit usually favored by street slinger punks who... are used to compensating for the kickback of jailbroken zippers. You might as well have been aiming for the ceiling. Finn lines up his shot properly. Laser sight dialed in on the young master's left trapezoid. Hi, Mel. Hi. I shift into a horse rider stance and deflect the needle with my weapon. The lift doors open behind me just as another shooter steps forward at my 3 o'clock. Or so I thought, but all they had was a laser pointer. Literally a cheap trick, but it worked. I hear a click from 8 o'clock, turn my neck. And feel weight punch into my deltoid. A dullest kind of pain for an instant. I realize I'm already going numb. And that's when I squeeze. Squeeze? He's talking about his mods. That's how I've always described it. Others say they flex or pull or hold. I squeeze. Akira Type 2 external thoracic booster. It's a reflex enhancer. Make 1 second feel like 15 in hindsight. It makes you feel like you ran a marathon during those 15 seconds once the kickback gets you. But I digress. I moved. Got Makoto into the elevator and wrenched the door shut myself, taking 3 more needles into the back in the process. I remember saliva pooling on my lip, and then cold concrete scratching my cheek. Alright, Sosuke. So you were guarding Makoto, these men laid a trap, targeted him with tranks, failed, and then they take you instead? Yes, to my great shame. You were outnumbered in ambush, but you still managed to protect Makoto. What's there to be ashamed about? That I didn't see it coming. You're saying this has happened before? Dozens of attempts in the past year. Some headed off in early stages, some sidestep entirely, and some stop with force. I knew their tactics and I knew our vulnerabilities, yet still I failed. Sosuke, that is not incorrect. I don't know, right? Am I wrong? Shouldn't a bodyguard get at least 1 shot off before being taken down? Shot? What do you mean shot? You were not carrying a firearm? No, no one on the team had guns. How's that? None of the security team had firearms with us. But you're a gangster. I'm a head of personnel security for the Ikaria Financial Group. Walking onto an allied group's properties armed to the teeth insults their hospitality and makes the house look insecure, or worse, impotent. And I'm not a security expert, but I do think there's some gray area between armed to the teeth and empty-handed. I mean, didn't you just say you deflected their attack? I was not defenseless just because I wasn't carrying a gun. I had my sword. So lame! So cool. Oh yeah, that was a sword! Sarah's getting inspired by the Yakuza. This is not good. You walk around town with what? A samurai sword? You just assume that it's a katana? Is it? Weave asked response. Yes. It is a signifier of my position within the house and shows I am acting as a representative of it. Is it ceremonial then? No, it is quite sharp. I can attest to that. It was probably in terrible condition by now, seeing how the city's police manhandle everything they touch. Speaking of which, perhaps we should move on to the night's main events. They tried for Makoto and got you instead, and took you to the lower wards. Why? I've been wondering that myself. Aren't you essentially worthless? Wow! Wow, Sarah! As a hostage, she means. I didn't know that. Sarah! Thinking back, I was surprised myself to wake up at all, let alone in captivity. But she usually had questions they wanted to ask me. What do you remember? Whatever they used on me. I can remember some things, but how much of it was real, what order it happened in, it's all... Just say whatever comes to mind. It can be anything. Sights, smells, voices. There are no wrong answers. I was bound, my wrists bound above my head. Tied to something that smelled like iron and rattled like old iron. Tiles beneath my feet, some kind of bathroom or decontamination area. Good guess. They asked me questions. I said things. Loose lips, like being drunk for the first time again. But I'm confident that other than vulgarities, it was all incoherent. Because there were shocks, the taste of blood. I must have bit my tongue during the spasms. And there were beatings, of course. I wouldn't have guessed. Adonai, do you need corrective lenses? Sarcasm is just how I grieve a lost opportunity, Sarah. Lost opportunity? Yeah, it's a damn shame. From what I see of it, with a pretty face like yours would go a long way with the jury if it wasn't pulverized. Ridiculous. Is he blushing? I agree about his face on an eye, but I don't believe it is only a strong feature. Let us move on. Really? Well, in that case, how did your captivity end? Do you recall escaping? I was blindfolded the entire time, but my ears weren't boxed so bad. There's a door that squeaked and whined, so I always knew when someone was coming or going. One voice asked questions mostly, it was light. Another voice grunted when he hit me, heavy. Other voices came and went, and then eventually there was talk. Through the door, I heard they were all talking to someone else. A new voice? Was it high-pitched or low? Loud or soft? It doesn't matter. What's important that belonged to someone new. Uh-oh. Someone besides you and the dead who was there last night. Did you make out any part of the conversation? No, not a word. But there was a loud noise, gunshots, followed by shouting and ugly sounds. A hollow pain in my skull as I lost consciousness again. When I next came to, I had something in my hands, something sharp. I didn't even think to ask what it was or where it came from. I just started working at the bindings, rushed and clumsy, poked myself in the process. But I cut them loose, then took the gag out. The blindfold was so tight that I cut it rather than try, and the damn thing must have been acting as a bandage, because when I took it off, between the light and the pain, I thought my head had split open. It took a long time to stand up. Felt like I'd just lie on that cold, disgusting floor forever if I just... But something was poking me. Something tucked into my waistband. The gun. A gun. Imagine my surprise. Checked the safety, the chamber reflexively, but only saw 2 spent slugs. I was too tired to be confused, so just walked out that squeaky door and into red. Just red. And then I was blinking at an IV, handcuffed to a stretcher in an ambulance, some cop reading me my rights, saying that I killed 5 people. No, wait. Some judge or some official said that later. When I woke up in the ambulance, all they said was I was a cop killer. Emitting some strong language. I don't understand. You were held captive, interrogated, tortured, but then you woke up armed and were able to escape? The cops didn't ask me any questions, and I wouldn't have answered if they had. It's been nearly a full day, and I'm just not saying it aloud for the first time. It truly sounds absurd. This is your world, Sasuke, not mine. Do you have any theories on what happened? Only 2 possibilities come to mind. In the first scenario, 1 or more of my captors wanted to kill me, but needed an excuse to do so, so they let me, quote-unquote, escape. They give me a knife and an unloaded gun, and wait for me to stumble out so they can miss me and be done with it. But the plan doesn't work. Somehow I limp out of that room and shoot, cut, stab, kill them all. That would be quite the feat given the condition you say you were in. Yes, a tale for the ages. But it's not possible. Why isn't it possible? Even if he had the motive and they were stupid enough to give him the opportunity, he was still lacking bullet. In the brief I read, the two of the pod were shot to death. I'm sure you're highly qualified, but I doubt you could fire a gun without bullets. Yeah, there's no proof the gun was already empty by the time he got his hands on it. The only residue it leaves behind is static. So long as my prints are on it, that's all the evidence they need to claim I fired it. And the second possibility is that someone walked into that building, killed my captors, and then tried to frame me for it. That sounds like lunacy. You've already eliminated the other possibility. Insane trumps impossible. Like it or not, this bad Samaritan theory is our best shot. I'm just surprised you believe me. You haven't even asked if I did it. I never ask. It helps that I can usually tell. a wise policy for the world you're setting foot into. Not as if it makes any difference here. Even I don't know if I'm guilty. You were drugged and beaten. You're still injured even now, and we just reasoned that you couldn't have killed your captors without help. What makes you think you might still be guilty? Because I've killed before. A pale spark flickers at the back of my mind. My index finger raises slightly and my lips part. Was I expecting this, stepping into the criminal underworld? Looking forward to it? The rare opportunity to speak frankly with someone else who's... Oh, you wanted to kill her friend! You mean, yes, I was in the military. Oh, never mind. Okay. I've taken lives many times. That doesn't make you a murderer. Soldiers are given orders. I've killed people. Whether or not a superior asked me to doesn't change that fact. But soldiers... Are you a soldier, Sarah? No? So drop it. She is good at following orders. It could take years to acquire that skill. I imagine it comes easy for androids. Yes, I suppose that... Wait, that's an android? Did you miss the glowing barcode? And ignore my self-introduction. Look, I'm tired. I thought those were highlights or something. Did my hair catch your eye? You have discerning taste. You see, each strand is actually... Was there something you wanted to say, Sosuke? I've taken lives before, and so I know how I feel afterward. Thin. And how do you feel right now? Right now, I feel... What is it? You remember something? Yes. After I stepped out that door, I said I saw red. But I do remember one other sensation. I remember the feeling of gripping my sword. That brief you read, it listed all the charges, all the causes of death. The fifth man, the cop they said I killed. How did he die? Is he on to us? Stabbed in the back with a sword, skewered like a piece of goddamn meat. And you've got the balls to ask a hi, Raise. Hi, I miss you. Hi. To us to carry him to a hospital? I don't think that's quite how I phrased the request. Hi, London. I've been paying close attention. Would you like me to play back what you said? Not now, Sparky. Ray, she's just doing her job. It's not like she's asking... Oh, save the lecture, gray hair. Gray? Come on, my hair isn't... It's graying, maybe. In case I made it clear, I've never liked you, Morgan. Aw, you're breaking my heart. I hadn't noticed. But I never took you for a mob lawyer. Whatever my client's associations might be, he's a cop killer. Innocent isn't until proven guilty isn't a phrase I coined myself, detective. It's actually somewhat important. Oh, don't worry about that. The proving won't take us long at all. Do you always take pride in rushing your investigations? We've all seen the same intake file by now, yes? My client was in bad shape when he was arrested. Sosuke Ikeda was apprehended at the scene of the crime and placed in medical transport. Injuries noted at the time, blood from various sources across the anterior, numerous bones in left hand broken as if impacting a hard surface. Slight laceration found on left hand, internal bleeding throughout the torso and skull, bruising if At the time of booking, when or where is not noted. The cops beat him up as well. Why did their left hand impact a hard surface? Yet somehow, in between arriving at the station and his booking, all his wounds were reopened, and some of them had multiplied. Tell me if you can, great detective, how will we ever solve the mystery of the reappearing fractured skull? Your client was being moved between floors. He struggled trying to escape, and then he fell down the stairs. Really? Was there a lawnmower waiting at the bottom? Look, we're all adults here. So let's just say it. Your coworkers kicked the shit out of him. Well, what do you want me to do about it? I want you to uphold the law. For some reason, I thought you cared about that. A police badge and a time machine. By the time we took custody, he was already... She's right, Tiger. What's done is done. You know you've got a snowball chance in hell of proving your client was assaulted while in police custody. And you'll never get charges brought against the officers who did it. So try asking for something doable. Don't go giving away all my best tricks. The door in the face tactic is already fragile. I want him to see a doctor. You've got to be shitting me. That's a blooded KW in there with military-grade mods. He's not leaving this building. But we could have a doctor brought here. And give him the chance to take a hostage? He's not the 99 man, Rays. He can't break his cuffs. Don't say 99 man. You don't know who that is. You're too old. A theoretical state of being in which a human has replaced as much of their body with cybernetic equivalent. How about a medic who can't be taken hostage? A medical ad? Sure, great. Let's see if we can't negotiate his premium lower while we're at it. Is that a refusal, Detective Reyes? Oh, I didn't say no, did I? Great. He also needs a protective detail. Lady, I swear to... Counselor. Protective details are comprised of off-duty cops. I don't think that'll have the outcome you're looking for. No, but if my client is left unattended one more night, he's likely to be declared unfit to stand trial when he shows up to a court with his head caved in. An outcome I genuinely believe you're not looking for either. We could keep him here. What, in the interrogation room? Counseling corner. Table can't be moved, but if you slide the chair out of the way, the floor is not actually that hard. How do you even know that? Given what other logics you'd add in the last 24 hours, I don't think your client will mind. So if Detective Reyes and Detective London take shifts keeping watch, now we're keeping watch? It is the Homicide Department's counseling corner. You think I give a shit what happens to that son of a bitch? You think I wouldn't walk in there myself and... You wouldn't. What? It's not in your nature. What the hell is that supposed to mean? You either have it or you don't. Trust me, if I had a chance to take a swing on that son of a bitch... Yeah, you already called him that. A piece of shit, a bastard, a killer. But unlike every other cop I walk past to get in here, you've yet to call Sosuke an animal. So what? What the hell does that matter? It's the only thing that matters. I've got the outsider's perspective, so I know. Your average human can do anything to anyone, so long as they're not a person. Whatever. Think what you want, creep. Well, so long as that's your only request, we should be able to... I need to get into the crime scene as soon as possible. You've got to be... What, like tonight? She's not rushing any more than anyone else, Sunshine. Everyone up the line has been raring to go on this. Now that Sosuke's actually got a lawyer... Well, maybe if that son of a bitch hadn't clammed up all day, we wouldn't... She said it again. Whatever. Pick then, counselor. You can bully us into guard duty or escort duty, but we can't do both. I need both. You have to split up. But I can help with that. Or rather, Sarah can. You can go treat Sosuke. I'm not treating... Oh, I love this bitch. She's pretending she doesn't remember being registered as my medical ad. Yes, I would never forget that unforgettable experience. But I've never done first aid before. Well, watch a tutorial first. Use lots of sanitizer. Just hand her some bandages and she'll get into Sosuke looking good as new in no time. Then you can plop her in front of the door and even 20 crooked cops working together couldn't get her to budge. That much is certainly accurate. I have a strong core, so if I focus and lower my center of gravity... Thanks for the sales pitch, but it doesn't mean shit. The crime scene is in the lower wards. If you think after what happened last time, any cop with a pulse would go down there without their partner, it's okay, Sunshine. I'll take her down there. Is everyone else in here huffing Nirvana? London, it's in Blue Blood territory. Blue Blood territory outskirts, really. They lost a whole pod. They'll be swarming the place. You can't go down there without backup. Backup, huh? You know Mac from Contraband? Skinny guy, kind of a perv? Yeah, he's skinny. Look, he's got crime scene analysis sweeps going on near that place with a fine comb right about now. Drones, probes, the works. They'll have eyes on us before we get 5 minutes of the place. Whatever. Just keep in contact for once. I hope you're being generously compensated, Eve. Selling your soul to the mob. It'd be a shame if you didn't at least get a good price. Hey, you coming, Blinkers? Gotta find where they store all the med kits in this dusty old piece of... Go on. I'll be right behind you, Detective. Sorry about that. She's still new to all this, really. Not old like me. She does seem to be on edge, more so than usual. It's her first time losing a fellow officer. I think she's taking it pretty hard. Maybe even personally? Did they know each other? Oh, right. You gather up all your things. I'll go bring us a ride. Great. Thanks for all the help, Detective. You're a lifesaver. So this is one occasion where I wouldn't have had any trouble finding the place. Really didn't take you that long to patch him up, huh? Now we just wait here all night. That clock runs pretty slow. If you're not doing anything else, Detective, might you be interested in answering some questions? What are you asking? Once more to the depth. When I went down to the lower wards last night, I knew what I wanted to find, but I wasn't sure where to look. Now I know where to look, but I have multiple priorities to consider. It'd be nice if I could prove Sosuke's innocence. It wouldn't be easy given that they think they killed a cop, but he'd keep me on the Ikuryu's good side. That'd be nice. But what is essential is that I figure out what the hell happened after I left, and whether anyone found any trace that I was ever there. Everything else is secondary. Sorry, guess I should have asked beforehand before I decided we'd be sharing a cab. I don't mind, but I am surprised. Did budget cuts take away your shiny patrol car? Patrol cars are shared, Counselor. Any cop can step into any other cop's car, sync their credentials, and drive. Convenient. Shame you can't personalize. Yeah, no more dice in the mirror. Is that why we're in a cab, then? Personal taste? Police cars are full of bugs. Thought you might appreciate the privacy. Autocabs are full of bugs, too. True, but there are ways around them. Are there? I didn't know that. Yeah, plenty. Can be as easy as flashing a police badge. Something you wanted to discuss in private, Detective? I was asked to get in contact with you and pass along a message. A secret admirer? Search interested parties and all that. You know how it is. I'm not sure if I do. Does this have something to do with my client's business affiliations? There'd be a lot more blustering if I were to repeat it verbatim, so I'll paraphrase. Focus on getting the best outcome for your client. More of a reminder of what my job description is than a warning. And don't broaden the scope of your investigation any more than strictly necessary. Well, I always appreciate kind words of advice, but Detective London, that almost makes it sound like you're on the take. That's the city, Tiger. If you don't take a little, they'll bury you. Alive, if need be. Oh, they will? How conspiratorial. It's not a joke, Morgan. Do they threaten your wife with Tommy guns if you don't comply? Ha! Is God more sophisticated than that? Well, maybe sophisticated isn't the right word. Complicated might be more accurate, or you could just call it a quagmire, or even a shitstorm. If you can't get along to go along, even other cops won't trust you. You'll end up getting shot in the back, friendly fire, a tragic newspaper clipping. You're exaggerating. You're telling me the entire police force is corrupt. Corruption would be one thing. You could, in theory, root it out. But above and below the canopy, it's all intertwined. Every tree stabilizing every other tree. What do they call that? Not parasitism. Commensalism. There you go. The state pays criminal informants to rat on their peers and lets them keep their positions in exchange. Orcas by judges and politicians to keep their men out of prison. Status quo, balancing act, a cycle, stable as any gyroscope. Forgive me if I find that hard to believe. Crime is at an all-time low. I need to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Hit the whip and nay-nay. Crime is at an all-time low. That's not a contradiction. People hate crime, but what gets people killed is chaos. And the opposite of organized crime is... So everyone's playing nice with each other. Even Detective Reyes. She's... What about the man they think my client killed? Did he play nice? He was a special case. You've got the brief. You recognize his last name? It's a big city. I don't put too much stock into last names. You need to break the habit if you continue to work in the underworld. Sosuke said something similar. Tariq Chopin, the only son of Miguel and Dominic Chopin. Applied philosophy. The power couple. Why would the son of two of our city's most prominent council members be working as a police officer? You want the full story? So who was this Chopin, really? An idealist. Wrong line of work, then. You're only half right. When he entered the academy, everyone first assumed it was a political move. First step in his career to becoming a senator or whatever. Maybe it was, but anyone who met the guy could tell you he would have made a lousy politician. You're saying he was honest? Wouldn't tell a lie if his life depended on it. Guy couldn't do small talk, much less make friends. Talking about cleaning up the city, cleaning up the police, cleaning up everything. If he was so unpopular, why was he kept on? I do want to continue Unbeatable. I'm going to continue Unbeatable after this game because I hear that it's basically that people are comparing it to The World Ends With You, and dude, just got passed around from department to department, detail to detail. He did a lot of community outreach. Community outreach? What, like bake sales? And then also when Kumitante launches, I will play that, but that's in early 2026. So that isn't for a while. Like giving talks at schools about saying no to drugs until you turn 21. Woof, must have really loved his job to put up with that. Or he just wanted to prove a point that bad. Don't you try to save lower wards patrols for the more seasoned, better armed officers? We do, yeah. How do you know that? By going to the lower wards and looking at the cops you send there, of course. I read about it in Watch magazine last month. If Chopin was the son of such a powerful man, why did he end up in the lower wards last night? That, I don't know. By all accounts, he and his partner should have been at least 2 patrols removed from that area. Must have been following up on some other lead. His partner, who's that? The hero who finally arrested the Hound of Ikaria, that's who. I have to send him a congratulatory fruit basket. Huey Rogers. Pretty bare-bones record, but maybe that'll just add to his legend. Taking your client alive. Whacked him on the head with his sidearm, knocked him out cold. Guess it is a small miracle that Sosuke wasn't shot dead if they thought he killed a cop. Maybe, but it wasn't pure luck. Only thing that did stick out to me is Roger's record was his shooting score. 41 out of 100. You need 40 to pass. I think someone took pity on him when tallying up his score. So he only whacked Sosuke on the head because he was too bad of a shot to avenge his partner. At least Rogers knows his weaknesses. I keep hearing that name, the Hound of Ikaria. I cringe every time. No one actually calls him that, right? Sorry, but I've definitely heard that name circling around organized crime before. Must be one hell of a bodyguard to have earned a nickname for it. He's a bodyguard? Then yeah, it must be pretty good. Of course, hound dogs are known for other things besides guarding. Sorry, that was, crude. Oh, don't be sorry. I don't even get enough of the joke to be offended. Yeah, what is the joke there? Okay, that all makes for some interesting food of thought for thought. But Detective London, if you are working for the Blue Bloods... I never said I work for the Blue Bloods. It's more of a gig worker type thing, Tiger. I'm friends with everybody. If you are working for the mob in general, then, how do I even know you're taking me to the right place and not to... Whoa! I may pass this message along here and there, but I'm not... Damn, hell, no one else is either. Whatever you're imagining, it's not that exciting, I promise. Not that exciting. Sounds about right. Is it like this in every city? Handshakes and jettison agreements behind closed doors? You disillusioned? The state has a great deal of power, Detective London. It makes countless rules. Now, I'm a big girl. I know that those rules don't apply to people equally, and I understand that criminal informants and the possible conflicts of interest that arise in trying to keep them around. What I don't get is why the state has all the strength And why? And it won't use it to wipe the underworld off the map. That's pretty cold logic. I'd expect my seat to be far colder. Hey, you ever heard this one? A politician, a CEO, and a mob boss are all sitting at a round table with a gun in the middle. What? You're deflecting! Holy deflection! Who are you betting on? The CEO. As inventory that needs moving. Plus, they're used to setting up a job and setting up their golden parachute before anything else. I doubt they walk in that room without first planning how they're going to get out of it. Fair enough. CEOs only get the job in the first place without convincing their board they can navigate. But it's a trick question, of course. Rock, paper, scissors has no trump card. The politician can bring down the heavy arm of the law on the mob boss if he doesn't shoot the CEO for him. The mob boss can have the CEO's family killed if he doesn't blow away the politician first. And the CEO can turbocharge the campaign of whoever the politician's opponent is if he refuses to miss the mob boss. Yeah, seems like you could make the argument to go in the other direction too. You could. So the point of the riddle is to teach this. Whoever convinces someone else to pull the trigger comes out on top. Interesting. So in the parable you set up, the gun on the table, that's the police. A blameless tool with no will of its own. Yeah. Though it was older men than I who set it up. Didn't realize this country's police were so powerless. How ever do you manage? We used to have a partner that helped us out, a tiebreaker, because all three of those probable men would be screwed if a journalist showed the world they were meeting together. I've got good news for you, Detective. Journalists still exist. I could introduce you to one. You could even take a photograph. Oh, I know they're not extinct. People will always write. It's just that no one wants to pay them to. Sorry, didn't mean to talk so much. Maybe it's nerves coming back down here. What happened the last time you visited? Something up? Didn't put you to sleep, did I? No. Actually, your 3C table reminded me of an even older thought experiment. If God is omnipotent, why does he allow the existence of the devil? Even I know that one. To preserve free will or whatever, right? Yeah, that's the answer most people give. But now I'm wondering if it isn't a rock, paper, scissors deadlock like the one you described. God lets the devil be so it will terrify man, and man will always need God's warm protection. And God needs man's faith, which can't be compelled. Of course, most would also say that God's long dead in the 21st century, but we're still around. So that leaves the devil in an awfully strong position, doesn't it? You always picture three men in that room, don't you? Huh? Yeah, I do. Sorry. Do 55 feminist rosaries for your penance. We're being woke? What the fuck? What are we doing? Detective London. We're definitely not alone down here. But when you reassured your partner that we'd have company, I didn't think you were including the Blue Bloods. Ah, you know, I knew I'd forgotten to mention. What? Well, then she's a liar, babe. Because I never said that. No, I never said that. Oh, come on, babe. That's what she lies for fun. Because that's what I call you, babe, is a pet name. You like it. No, don't hang up. Of course I do. We've got to get to work. Han. I'll have to call you back. Something just came up. London, what is this? London, who is this? Counselor Morgan, this is Adelaide Han. She's a blue blood. Hey, I'm a perfectly legitimate career woman. You're speaking to a Zionist security site manager. If you need anything, miss, don't hesitate to reach out. A real business card? It even has a watermark. I'm not familiar with Zionists. We're a private security and investigating firm. The fact that sponsored search results, Adeline Hahn's business card, listing her as a site manager at Sinus Security, an organization a known front for the Blue Blood criminals organization, includes her personal contact number on top of her work details for some reason. Sorry, but have we met somewhere? No, it can't be. I'd never forget a beauty like you. She's the Hound's lawyer, man. Seriously? She works for those copper-headed scumbags? So we're mortal enemies? That sucks. Another life then, eh? But I'd still play nice if you will. Right. So you're private security and you're currently securing this crime scene. Yes? What's with the tone? What you're hearing is genuine bewilderment. London, why are police letting blue bloods contaminate the crime scene where a cop died? Come on, we don't have cooties. If this wasn't the location where a cop died, we'd have already turned full control over to them. The police contract out the security around crime scenes to private companies all the time. And around here, the private company best suited for the job happened to be Cyanus. Letting them conduct their own side investigations is a small concession to keep the peace. A small concession? They're probably in there destroying evidence as we speak. We have arcs to preserve the crime scene. They could build the building down and we'd still have a... London Bridges is trying to save face. The police couldn't keep this crime scene off limits without our help, and he knows it. Gremlins would be smashing their shiny cameras and popping their expensive tires around the clock if we weren't here. Lower ward kids take out drones by tossing shoes at them for fun. Is that why you see shoes hanging off of the wires? No, I don't know why that happens. It's just a thing teens have always done for fun. Mystery solved? Fine, maybe the cops and blue bloods are all consummate professionals who never even bicker, but what kind of impartiality can I expect coming here to defend an Ikaria? Well, you might get some ugly looks from those with less chivalry, but no one's gonna get in your way. We know how defense attorneys operate. We know how damn well you usually win. Damn well I usually win. No one's going to do anything that'll let you worm the Hound out of his life sentence on a technicality. You sure you wouldn't prefer that? To have him back on the street so you could take another shot at him? Oh, so flattery. That's how you flirt. What does that mean? You think we'd ever manage to gun down the house of Ikaria, the Hound of Ikaria on the street? Shank him in a holding cell? Blue Blood took him alive just fine the other day, didn't they? Yeah, and look what happened to him afterward. So you won't tamper with the crime scene just because you want to make sure the state lobotomizes Sosuke for quintuple homicide. Yeah. I mean, we also get paid good money to do these kind of jobs, so we have a reputation to maintain. Rate us 5 stars when you're done looking around, okay? I'll be sure to leave a glowing review. So this is the main entrance? Front door looks about as heavy as I remember, but it's unlocked. How's this door found? Chopin and Rogers were the first officers on scene, responding to gunfire. Someone heard that? Good thing I cleaned up fast. Checked the area, then entered through the front door. The door was definitely locked when I arrived, but I didn't lock it behind me when I left. I didn't have any keys. Admiring their handiwork? This is the Cyanus installation. Who else would Blue Bloods trust to secure Blue Blood buildings? How does it lock? You never used a key before? I want to know how the lock functions. Does it lock behind you automatically? That's a good question. You looking to buy? Because I could set you up. It is a good question, hon. Why don't you answer it? Yeah, this model locks behind you by default. You need a key to get in if someone doesn't unlock it for you from inside. A physical key? Physical keys can't be hacked or overridden by a police badge. Some people consider those useful features. Is that why the door's ajar? Looks like the lock's been destroyed. Was it found like this? Yeah, for as long as the arcs has been up. The front door utilizes entrance to the crime scene. Utilizes a physical lock and key mechanism. Designed to automatically lock behind you when leaving the building. The lock is currently damaged and non-functional. I like this game so much more than Ace Attorney. It's probably the vibes and the fact that Morgan is a killer and just Morgan in general. It's the vibes, though. Designed to automatically lock behind you when leaving the building. Trey definitely had. I didn't think to see if it had been locked behind me after I left. It definitely wasn't locked when me and Ray's arrived, which was around 10:20 p.m. Hang on, you and Ray's what? Were you the second officers on scene? That's right. We weren't far when the 1099 went down at a quarter past 10. If one or more, most frequently, okay. So, automatic. Long way from precinct 254, isn't it? We were in the area. Awkward. Awkward. You want the tour then? Actually, I'd like to check out the alley first. You know the crime scene's on the 3rd floor, right? Yeah, but it has a window that opens to the alley, doesn't it? I just prefer to stop from the bottom and work my way up sometimes. Sure, we could start there. Just be careful where you step if you like those boots and all. One problem with Blue Bloods and cops running for their security. I don't know who to blame for leaving their shit here. I give the moral high ground to whichever part of society learns to pick up after themselves first. Bombing ruled out in university fire. Panic abounded last week when the computer labs at North Technica University were set ablaze in the early hours of the morning. Successfully traced back to a cooling system failure. Is this gonna be important? This might be important. Work of the Witch of the West. Each incident, its similarities to other fires and bombings. Hundreds of thousands of appears to have targeted data infrastructure. Hundreds of thousands of files related to student debt, all of it non-recoverable. We're quickly reaching out to alumni as quickly as we can to try to piece their records back together, but frankly, a lot of them has been less than eager to speak with us, and we may have no choice but to re-examine payment plans for our current students' tuition. They're like, bro, our student debt got burned in a fire, dude? Let's fucking go! I don't have to pay my loans anymore? God, need that... No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm gonna pay my student loans like a nice, responsible student. Oh, I'm gonna be in debt for the rest of my life. fuck? I feel like I've heard stories about bombings in the out west in the past few months. But I didn't know they'd all been attributed to one person, or that they're now calling them the Witch of the West. There's no mentions of victims, only data centers being targeted, but clearly this witch is hitting someone where Earth if they've now got... feds involved. What really stands out is that the federal investigators are getting involved. Most national security agencies were absorbed into the military police complex decades ago. That bureau survived, but it's a mere fraction of the size it used to be, and very different in its function. Their modern reputation is that of attack dogs, deployed by the Senate to make examples of political targets. I can't say I like the idea of them being out there hunting for serial offenders. Hey Mel, question for you. Would you rather see me play this and Unbeatable swapping back and forth every other day, or see me finish this and then complete Unbeatable? Okay. It was much darker last night than it is now, and I only took a quick peek, but even so, this looks like it's been moved, huh? Yeah, which trash picked up last night, perhaps? Checking the model number on the side, looks like the dumpsters haven't been picked up by the city in the decade. I didn't realize there was a DRM on trash cans. Hey, it's a heavy model, tough to lift, even if its wheels weren't broken, and designed for containing industrial waste. How it ended up here in a residential district isn't that hard to pin. It was cheaper for the Megs to dump this shit on us than it was to haul it to a landfill. Is that why I see markings on the ground there from leaks? Oh, you really are a tourist, aren't you? I've been in the lower wards before. But only at night, right? Rain's dirty down here. Sins around whenever it falls. Acid rain, like from the history books? Not quite that bad. Just smog combined with precipitation, combined with the charms of the city to make dirty rain. Like I said, lower ward spring water. There's a shot named after it. Tequila and pickle juice. Ugh. So is the dumpster empty? Hey, grab a glove if you're gonna... Yeah, it's mostly empty, except for a bunch of scrap metal at the bottom. Explains why I can't get it to budge. Careful, if you get your toe trapped under there, don't look at me to help just because I'm modded. Are you saying you couldn't budge it either? I could if a girl was cheering me on. Okay, London, thanks. I don't know what I was expecting to find. God, gay ass! Now just watch it so you don't let the lid slam. Sorry. The lid makes a very unpleasant sound. The fire escape will lead right up to the crime scene. Assume it doesn't come crashing down once you step onto it. It's missing the ladder that would connect it to street level. You're violating fire code with this tetanus trap, hon. Building inspection's not my department. Besides, who want to climb up into a burning building? Firefighters? You're funny, Bridgers. Even a copper firefighter. Particularly one for automated... A copper... A derogatory word for AI dependence, particularly ones licensed or operating. Clanker mentioned? Clanker mentioned? If you feel that a corporation you know has been the victim of a hate crime, you can report it at our confidential portal here. Prejudice can only be directed towards sentient living things, people, animals, or corporations. Woo! I love capitalism. This is the future that Jeff Bezos wants. Oh wait, I'm on his website right now. I forgot that they own Twitch. An ad could probably make the jump up there. Ads are heavy. If they leaped onto that, the whole mess would probably come down on top of them. So one could only freely move back and forth between the third floor room and where the bodies were found and the second floor room beneath it. Yeah, modders are heavy too. Hey! Looks like the only way into the building is through the front door then. Alright, I'm done back here. So I think I've seen everything That's right, I was standing here last night when... That kid saw me! Uh-oh, there's a witness to our crime! There's a fucking witness! It was dark and foggy. That kid was too far off to make out my face. Weren't they? So I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Uh-oh! I need to go use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Sorry. Alright, I'm back. Yeah? Around here, maybe it was an unlisted. What do you... Those are real? Keep to themselves, obviously, but yeah, they're real. I bet some. They inform sometimes on what they've seen. Never come in to testify, though. You think they'd stand out dressing like that, but if the camouflage didn't work, they wouldn't be unlisted, right? What do you mean by they keep to themselves? Don't they work with any of the gangs out here? Sorry, have I gotten your hopes up or something? Something. You got a better chance of winning a lottery than running into one. Right, forget I asked. You ready to go inside? Unlisted individuals, often missing persons who are not tracked in any government database. I think so. So long as... No, I'm not with anyone else. It's just me here. Because she's shrill, princess. And delusional, you know that. I'm sure she'll catch up. So you were saying this used to be an apartment building? Somewhere between that and a long-stay motel, yeah. Blue Bloods didn't deviate far from that model when they took over. They call these rooms like these vaults, places to stash away a lover, witness, debtor when there's too much heat. You've gone through all these vaults, I take it? Sanus helped us with that last night, yeah, bringing around master keys, clearing out every possible hiding place. Didn't find a red-handed killer hiding anywhere, did you? So is this the Blue Bloods' forte, then? Securing people, places, and things? You could think of it that way. Guess I always assumed gangs made their money through drugs. Well, the Blue Bloods do deals here and there, but narcotics has been a rich man's game ever since the CDCA rolled in. Contraband Decriminalization Act. Decriminalize all narcotics use and establish the Bureau of Narcotics Oversight to administrate the production, licensing, and distribution and taxation of drugs across the country. If you don't have the funds to ride the gray wave the way House Ikaria does, you can make a killing. They've got the funds they've got the market cornered from black to gray to white to pure green profit. The Blue Bloods hate that they have to make do with all the scraps the Megs and the House don't bother with producing en masse. Professional jealousy, how ugly. Why can't these underworld overlords just bury the hatchet, get together, and screw over the consumer like reasonable people do? They've tried, if you believe the rumors. About a year ago now, there was some kind of meeting, an olive branch from the golds to the blues. Apparently, the Blue Bloods had a product that Ikaria wanted to distribute. The Ikaria sounds legal drugs now, though. And what kind of product could the Blue Bloods have that the Ikaria couldn't manufacture? Not sure. Maybe that's why when it's south so fast, blood was spilled in less than an hour. The Ikaria aren't typed to keep negotiating after being spat on like that. And so the Blue Bloods remain firmly planted in their lower ward's niche. They might not like having to take the low end, but they are filling a gap in the market, and that's every proper capitalist calling, right? Besides, the workers certainly appreciate their protection down here. Workers hire blue bloods for protection? All that stuff is legal as long as they're licensed, isn't it? Legal, yes. Respectable? Most would still say no. So, household name security megas consider it too high risk to be in the company of workers. Workers, abbreviated form of sex workers. Okay. Doesn't help that their average board member is easily pushing 60 years old. You aren't that far from pushing 60 yourself, aren't you? Matter of opinion. Besides, I'm a very modern, forward-thinking man. Did you finish those rosaries already? Those 50 rosaries already? Right. And the Akadia, they don't, compete in that market? No. Compete in the market. People at the Arkadia's Heights may patronize a courtesan or two in the cloud districts, but they never lower themselves to work alongside one. Hypocrites. That much I understand perfectly. The hypocrisy is the appeal for them. The rules don't apply to me. You couldn't ask for a more pure expression of power. Damn. Worse than I remember. Like a demon tore through the place. Seriously. What the hell happened here? That's what we all get paid to find out, right? I definitely got a head start on the rest of you, though. Shall we bring up the arcs? Sure, I'll patch you in. Allow me! If you're needed on the phone, Miss Han, please don't let me keep you here. Nonsense! I've got all the time in the world for you! Everyone's treating me like royalty today. Is that a Unity object? Took the words right out of my mouth. Where shall we start? How about with tall, dark, and mysterious in the middle there? That's your client. He was found standing over Chopin's body by the arresting officer. Rogers, right? And he knocked Sosuke out. Correct. So why is it this artistic rendition of Sosuke and not a capture from Rogers' body cam? Well, it seems like at the time, their body cam was off! Average cop! Hey, I'd chew him out myself if he was here with us. It's department policy to have all sensors green when responding to an emergency. Did all this not qualify as an emergency then? Of course his body cam was off! Okay, I'm so sus of Rogers already. Yeah, I'm so sus of Rogers already. Please don't spoil it if you've played. Oh, we killed 4 of them. But we know that we killed 4 of the 5 victims because we're secretly a serial killer, but we don't know who killed Chopin. Here. This guy. Morgan is just a silly willy. Yeah, she would never do anything wrong. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If evil, why hot? For 2 experienced officers first on the scene, it might have not come to mind. At least Chujin. Fuck! Why did his name even come to my mind? What the fuck? At least Chopin could learn that excuse. Rest in peace. But apparently, Rogers requests replacement body cams nearly every week. Okay, if he's that big of a klutz, take away his gun once the city's done throwing him a parade. I'll put in a request. Right then, who's next? Who the hell? Who the hell are you, really? Why are you lying there dead right in the middle of my crime scene? Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. That was Tariq Chopin, as you might guess, a patrol officer and the son of 2 loving fathers. He strongly emphasized to the police the desire to see justice done. Reyes wasn't exaggerating about how he died, run through from behind with a sword. So he would have been standing in front of that desk. Then he was impaled, then he collapsed to the floor face first, and the sword got stuck in the ground. Bad luck for the attacker, I suppose. Yeah, Dr. Sato noted in a report that the stab wound was, in her words, jostled. Pardon? Like, the attacker tried to pull it out, but it was stuck, so they had to jiggle it around. Hey, it's probably what saved Rogers' life. Kept your client distracted and disarmed long enough to give Rogers time to rush in. Allegedly. Not where I left you, that's for sure. And according to Sosuke, the one thing he does recall after I pass the baton to him is gripping his sword. You're not giving me much to work with. Fingerprints on the grip match your client's hand, by the way. Here was getting my hopes up. And it definitely wasn't suicide, because no one's else prints are on the damn thing, because we wiped ours off of it. Bladed weapon found at the scene of the crime. The chip is... at several points. Fingerprint. Wait. Why is the blade covered by the other guy's blood? The only person we murdered with this sword was Trey, right? Why is Miller's blood on it? It was indulgent. Wasn't my only indulgence. I must have gotten Miller's blood on the tip, on the blade's tip when I dragged it across the floor. I ruled out suicide once I saw he was stabbed in the back. Thank you. There are papers scattered underneath his body. Did I knock them off the desk at some point? Maybe when the tall one hit the ground? Or maybe when I was swinging that bat down on... Hang on. What kind of paper is this? I can't read a word. Really? You should get that looked at. My Visions 2020. What am I looking at, Miss Site Manager? True. Nothing to worry your pretty little head over. How do you know their internal business if we can't read them? You've really never seen red ink before. It's a corporate information security protocol. Files with special flags trigger specific print commands if you try to make physical copies. Makes it use some kind of special ink. Try to take a photo of it and it comes out a bright blur. Paper's special too. Too much heat, humidity becomes illegible. A corpse bleeding out on top of you is a lot of heat and humidity. So these documents won't contain confidential data that the Blue Bloods wouldn't want getting out. What do they say in the movies? I can't confirm nor deny that. And if I subpoenaed the data, do your worst. We've got lawyers too. And unlike your client, they've got all the time in the world to stall. Besides, you and I both know exactly what the Hound's motive was, and it isn't written in those pages. It's written all over his busted up face. Sure, but you won't mind when I copy down whatever I can anyway, right? I wouldn't have any legal reason to stop you, if that's what you're getting at. Documents found at the scene of the crime, mostly blotted out from the blood, apparently contain page 21, payment, re-election, Councilman Long? So there's something important about the councilman that's... But Mathing is the one who's Long. Because Mathings is the one that's projected to win. Is Councilman Long... a Chopin. His name was Chopin. Like the musician. Tariq Chopin. The big one. He made a strange face when I shot him and a loud slam when he hit the floor. This one, real long rap sheet with a short ending, buckshot to the torso, died instantly. Flexware and his mods put his time of death at 9:44 p.m. Killed by his own weapon. Comes up a bit short of poetic justice, but it doesn't look like he's in any kind of struggle for it beforehand. But sad someone managed to get it off his hands. It wasn't any great feat, I assure you. Tex identified it as a double-barrel Mag US, and... Hey, how do you know the gun was his? He's still wearing the holster in the arcs. Was I mistaken? No. Oh, almost got caught there, Morgan. You've got to be more careful than that, buddy. Morgan. Girlie, you've got to be more careful than that. And found this here gun on him. They found this gun on him and they handed it back to him? He bought and paid for it above board. So this gun isn't jailbroken. You have tag data from the murders. No, we don't. Strange. According to the text, the gun is jailbroken. What happened between last week and last night that he'd get the tag stripped off? They kidnapped... Sasuke Ikari's person gripped it in his left hand. No one else's fingerprints are present. Modified to an illegal extent. The slugs fired detonate, increasing lethality. Our client's name is... What was our client's name again? I forgot. Sasuke. Naruto. Is he... Oh, I thought for a reason it said he was left-handed or right-handed. So he was holding the gun in his left hand and the sword in his right hand, is the theory they're going with. Something that made him think this piece would see action soon. Maybe the guy he had captured in his room? The screen. I turned it on to distract Tanks long enough to grab his gun, and I remember choosing not to turn it back off. Interesting setup. Powerful setup. Was blaring when we arrived. The sound system, I mean. One of the CS techs is a real audiophile. Said it broke her heart how loud they must have blared the speakers all the time. Where's it out, they said. The music was still playing. Where's it out, she said. I wouldn't count on orcas to value the longevity of their tech purchases. Windows open to the fire escape in the alley below. There's a thin misting of blood across them. Got a good guess as to who it belongs to. This is where we found Creek, leader of the pod. Ballistic tells us that the shooter was standing in front of the desk, near where my client was found. Your words, not mine. Nasty slug burst in his chest, blue blood back onto the windows behind him. The open windows. Hell of a spread. Yes, it is. Did someone open these, or? No, they were open when we secured the scene. Any fingerprints? Plenty on the handles there from Creek in his pod. That's where the handles are? Definitely, but how could I explain how I knew that? Were they closed when we murdered them? So the real killer opened the window for some reason. No, sorry, I guess I'm wondering about the keys around his neck in the arcs. Oh, well, one was a master key. Could unlock any other door in the building. The other key we eventually paired to a small safe in his desk. Empty, though. Suppose that's all irrelevant since he apparently died with the key on his person. Yeah, they caught my eye too, to be honest, but not every detective's instinct pans out. So who was this guy? Curious? Only professionally. I don't care what he was before I killed him. Criminal record dating as far back as it goes, sealed when he turned 18. What makes you so sure he has a juvenile record then? The more experience these guys get, the more time in between their arrests. Powdered, I'm saying he was pretty damn experienced by the time he was of age. You trying to compliment him? I wasn't trying to insult him, hon. Anything you'd like to add? No, nothing I want to say in front of you two. If you wanted to say a few words, the detective and I could step. Only words I have are for his killer. I'd deliver them in person, or not at all. Fair enough. Do you have any idea why someone might want to hurt this Creek fellow? That's not funny. That dog you're defending. It's a fair question, hon. Give it fair consideration. Besides the Ikaria, the rest are our city's finest? No, Creek was charismatic and driven. Plus, he made us a lot of money. No true blue would ever want him gone. Why did you look surprised at that? Why did bro look surprised at that? The bloodthirsty Ikaria soldier he was interrogating, however, probably wasn't a huge fan. What about family? This is getting old fast. Younger's brother's listed as his next of kin. Leave his brother out of this. Hell, leave me out of this. Rooting through a person like you're picking at zits. Well, seems like he's out of town anyway, taking summer lessons at Howe Mariner University. That's a good school. An expensive school. Younger brother has no listed occupation. Also no priors and no juvenile records. TAD at his age? Poor kid. Pills for that cost hard on arm and a leg. Creek must have been sending him. Detective, Did you just leak the confidential medical data of a non-suspect to a third party? Hey, you don't have to report. How about I buy you an ice cream or something? Bribery too? You're digging yourself pretty deep. Is it still bribery if I'm the government official? Creek's fine wood desk. He seemed particular about it. Maybe in no small part because I had a priceless no mask hidden inside, but I assume you've been through this data pad here. Front to back, but we didn't find anything we didn't already know. It seems Creek was smart enough to use it for payments and not anything else. There's only partial fingerprints on it. Okay. How do you manage that? Even gangsters need spreadsheets. Hence the paperwork you see scattered about. They really did everything by hand. PPP is what they call it over in organized crime. Paper and pencil protocol helps the orcas keep their books off the books. Or at least in a format that's easier to destroy should push come to shove. Did you run checks on this credit card that's jammed in here? Ah, not surprised you don't recognize it. That there's a dart card. Wow, tell me more. Wow, tell me more. It's an untraceable wallet in the palm of your hand. I would hope any wallet could fit in the palm of your hand, detective. But you really can't find the owner? Can't trace any of its transactions? Most we could tell is the datapad registered calls to dark card networks around 9:40 p.m., but it timed out. The transfer didn't go through. Either someone got cold feet or they forgot their password. Happens to the best of us. Oh, without the fingerprint of the owner. So when we stole this from the guy before that we killed, we didn't get his passcode, and we didn't have his fingerprints, so we couldn't have ever used it. Morgan had it, but she claims she got it off of a previous victim of hers. Yeah, she stole it from someone else that she murdered before this. By the way, why has this cloth been flagged? Not sure. Forensics didn't find any blood on it. Who flagged it? Lady Rockford herself. Could that be could be that she fat thumbed it. Yeah, I'm sure that it's nothing. Something about that cloth? I'd advise you brace yourself before opening the autopsy photos on this one, Counselor. Yes, this is sufficiently obfuscated. A lot to take in. The skull was crushed. Yes, but the cause of death was blood loss from a laceration around the neck. He hit the floor and bled out in seconds. Everything else you're seeing there is post-mortem. Overkill. Not the type of word I'd use for this kind of shit. Oh, calm down. I didn't do it for the fun of it, in this specific instance. The victim had modded eyes. Seemed to me that someone just didn't want to take any chances. Bullshit. No one in the lower wards could get optic mods with recording functionality. You wouldn't be welcome anywhere. You gonna claim the Hound of Ikaria didn't know something that fundamental? Nah, he bashed his brains in for the fun of it. I'm sure to a loss of a body citizen like yourself, we're all the scum of the earth you deserve. I'm pretty scummy myself. Defense attorney, remember? Who the hell deserves shit like this? Deserves? What does that have to do with anything? I take it that this bat is what did the deed. Matches the splinters found inside his wounds if you had any doubt. There's nothing here about Sosuke's fingerprints. You'd think we could get anything but partials on that? It's practically splinters. Makes sense. I was the one who actually swung it down, and I was wearing gloves by then. Whoever did this, they were damn enthusiastic. You know how hard they'd have to be to crush the skull, to break the bat itself? I can't imagine. A cheap wooden bat used to bludgeon. It was barring Sosuke from exiting the other room before I used it to destroy Trey's eyes, but no one else knows that, and I have no way of informing them. What a pain. There's some faint blood that's been smeared here. Did it belong to the victim? And Sosuke. I wonder if maybe the bodies hadn't gotten moved around for some reason, but your client's legs and feet were soaked in others' blood when he was arrested, and he would have had to sneak up on top in order to stab him in the back. You think he slid his feet across the ground to avoid making noise? Does he say otherwise? I'll let you keep guessing on that one. Blood loss from the neck. Even I can tell that much. Stabbed with a bladed weapon right near the carotid artery. Very efficient. Not the kind of kill someone could make without prior experience. My client's a humble bodyguard. Come on now, I know you got a job to do, but you'll shame him if you don't let him take credit for this one. Miller was no joke in a fight. To take him out with one clean stab to the neck using his precious signature katana, the hound must be itching to brag about it. I'll defer to the medical examiner on this matter, thank you very much. What do you mean? Sato said the same thing. Katana to the neck and not so many words. Is Miller's blood even on the katana? Even if it is, why would the medical examiner assume the katana was used here when my knife is a much better fit for my knife? Where is it? Where? I gave Sosuke the knife before I left. It should have been found on him when I was arrested. It should be somewhere in the arcs. You looking for something, Tiger? If they haven't found the knife and I asked about it anyway, that means admitting that I know it's missing. If I tell them that Sosuke's mentioned a knife that only the killer would know about, I'd be ruining my case before we even enter the courtroom. Or worse, pointing the police in the direction of the knife's real origin. No, was anything found on my client's person when he was arrested? Besides a gun, a sword... Morgan's so bad, yeah! They messed with her perfect crime scene. No, not even any lint in his pockets. It was perfect! Why do you ask? No reason. Sometimes you gotta shake the tree to see what falls out, so they say. Oh, so you were blindly guessing. I've been there. Something must have happened to that knife. It couldn't have just disappeared. Not for a crime scene locked down like this. I'll need to find it, but I can't just go looking for it. Is this what it feels like to play with a handicap? Through this door is where they were keeping Sosuke, and where I let him off the leash. I'll finish that for after I leave him in here. Feels like that's just about everything, right? Okay. Looks like that's everything in here. Well, I don't envy either of your workloads. It's a mess in here. It's a lot of blood, that's for sure. I'm impressed you haven't got a nauseousness. I'd be right at home if you all weren't poking your noses around. Shoot, I just remembered. I'll never hear the end of it if I don't check in with my partner after saying I would. You two to keep going if I step out to make a call? A call? Is your partner your mom? And is your mom blind? Send a text. Thanks for your understanding. Maybe he was the one with the weak stomach. You be sure to let me know if you feel faint. We're nearly finished anyway. I'd stick to the arcs if I were you. Nothing behind that door that's better seen in person. You've been such a gracious host up until this point, Mrs. Hahn. Why the cold feet now? It's ugly in there. Uglier than this? Different kind of ugly then. It's all in the eye of the beholder. I warned you. Don't worry, I can stomach it just fine, so long as I can understand it. Why did Creek's pod torture my client? I don't know what they did. Sosuke told me they electrocuted him, Han. They probably just grounded him. Low-grade currents applied every few minutes, stop most mods from rebooting. So no SOS pings, no adrenaline bursts put out his ass. And the pliers, hammers, and syringes, what purpose did they serve? They could have just killed Sosuke when they failed to nab Makoto. Instead, they dragged him down here. Why? To try and get info on Makoto's itinerary? Get enough intel to make another run at him? If there are any answers for me in here, I'll need a grout scraper to find them. Has all this blood been tested, Miss Han? Enough of it. Besides Sosuke, who else would it belong to? It's not that if there's more here than the last time I visited. Sosuke really did lose a lot of blood. By the time he stumbled out of here, stiff breeze should have been enough to knock him over. Is he really such a badass that he'd managed to take out a police officer before he'd even notice? It's not as if I feel nothing looking at someone else's handiwork, the product of their violence, but that's like an artificial sweetener. No complaints for that first instant, then the aftertaste comes. Empty calories, I'll just be hungrier again later, faster. Best to stay disciplined. She just wants to murder people. It's water, cold enough that condensation's on the outside of the bucket. Just a simple way to keep a guest from dozing off. Temperature shock makes caffeine looks like a sleep aid. This coming after you claim you don't know whether or not Sosuke was tortured? You know what the other bucket's for then? I know you said you got a weak sense of smell, but do you really need a hint here? But then this last bucket here is... What is that? Trash? Cloth and rope, bindings, or bandages. See, they were nursing him back to health. I'll run your theory past Sosuke next chance I get. This must be what's left of what they were keeping Sosuke tied up with. They wouldn't have had to use something, yeah. The store doesn't even lock. Not after I removed the bat, barring it from the office. So he's brought here, tied up, questioned, and then he breaks out, bursts into the next room, cuts up two of his captors, and blows the other two away. That's what you think happened. That's what it looks like. And then what? Chopin runs in and turns his back on a violent criminal? Don't strain yourself trying to make it sound improbable. Cops are dumb. If the Hound crouched in the corner, he'd have his chance soon enough. Hell, he probably just played dead. Walk into that scene out here, do you think that some patrol officer would go around checking pulses? Why would my client go through all the trouble just to get a jump on an officer? Why not just run away? Hell, why not ask him for medical treatment? Because he was standing in the middle of the four men he just killed? Ugh, I know that Sosuke had no logical reason to attack Chopin, but so what? Even Sosuke says he would have been acting on instinct. Would instinct tell him that Sosuke was between him and his escape? Hypodermic needles. Sosuke better not, preferably not, probably not packing anything healthy. Sosuke better hope that they were at least sanitized. I'm not sure Sarah could treat an infection with gauze and rubbing alcohol alone, but those needles are... The design of these needles seem a little odd. They're projectiles. Load them into a gun and fire away. Non-lethal anesthetics found in the bloodstream at time of arrest. The other needles were as truth serums. Okay. Sosuke was captured by men wielding needle guns. Does Cyanus Security have any peacekeeping tools they'd like to disclose as recently gone missing? You're cursing up the wrong pipe. Creed could find tools all on his own, and we're not that kind of operation. An operation where the right hand doesn't know what the left is doing? More like the right hand's just been washed, so if they end on some garbage... Cyanus is that legitimate? Why aren't all the Blue Bloods working legal jobs then? Not enough positions available. You gotta earn like hell to be considered for a job on this side of the fence. Creek and his pod weren't bringing in any kind of money? They like Creek's pod where it was. Who's they? Upper management. And did upper management like Creek? I'm just a humble site manager, miss. I wouldn't know. Sure. So do all these needles contain anesthetics? No, there's also stimulants and barbitocene. See who has me muted on social media. You can get sued for selling it as such. It makes you talk. Doesn't make what you say the truth. So they wanted Sosuke talking, but what did they ask him? If your client can't remember, isn't willing to recall, there's really no one else alive who would know, yeah? I'm getting a headache, but it's not from anything sensory. I should know more about this crime scene than anyone. Why can't I piece it together? If I can't piece it together, the cops will never trace any of this back to me, right? So why do I feel so ill at ease? Okay, thanks for your patience, ladies. Did I miss anything? Nah. Would you felt better if you had? I'm going to head out now, actually. I've got a long day tomorrow. You're going back by yourself then? Are you sure? I could get you a ride out of the neighborhood. I'm sure Miss Han here has already made sure that we'll both get out of here without any trouble. That is your company's area of expertise, isn't it? Of course. Well, at least let me walk you out. Sure, why not? Safe travels. So, Detective, there's something you didn't want to talk about in front of the professionals at Sienna Security? Thanks for picking up on that. Graves will be upset that you never checked in. Yeah, right after this I will. This room, are we directly underneath the crime scene? Yep, same fire escape right there. Same type of window, too. Has this room been scanned into the arcs? Yeah, but no one found anything noteworthy, except Cyanus being sloppy. So what were you actually doing when you left Han and I back there? Something Han said earlier about how no true blue would wish harm on Creek. Her phrasing stood out to me, because it implies the existence of false blue bloods. Because it reminded me of one of the first things I learned in the city. There are no monoliths. Megs, Orcas, City Hall, they're always factions. And among the blue bloods, the party lines are especially visible. So I made a call, not to raise and confirm some things. And I figure I owe you a little hint or two considering the tone of the last message I delivered. That message warned me not to broaden the scope of my investigations. Getting hints from you might be self-defeating. Not these hints, trust me. So what faction did our pal Creek belong to? The Young Bloods, opposite ends of the compass from the Old Guard, the conservative Blue Blood leadership. All of them ordered than 70, some of them pushing higher than 90. Han said Creek was too useful for anyone to want dead, but my sources don't agree. Creek talked, said things aloud that others only whispered. Ambitious, charismatic, up-and-coming, and young. Could easily see him being very unpopular with all the wrong people in the Old Guard. That's very interesting info, Detective, but it doesn't exactly flip the case on its head. I already know who killed Creek. The police have already decided it's Sosuke. Learning that he had some occupational hazards will hardly convince the jury otherwise. My client's the one who's standing accused, and everyone knows why Blue Bloods and Ikaria want to kill each other. They're rival gangs. They hate each other. Do you know why? It's the same reason all the Blue Blood leadership is ancient, while all their muscles made up from orphans and delinquents. 30 years ago, the Ikaria betrayed their peace with the Blue Bloods, started killing them, and they didn't stop for days. At the end of it, every single member of the leading Blue Blood families under the age of 40 was dead. Well, I can see how their kids will grow up to hate the Ikaria, yeah. You're not getting it, Tiger. Their kids didn't grow up at all. If that's the case, how are the Blue Bloods still around? For the one thing, the Ikari had bigger fish to fry. This was right before the Red Decade. They spent every second of the next 10 years positioning themselves so they could come out of the other end as nobility. Second, what remained of the Blue Bloods found a new niche to fill, taking in delinquents furious at a country driven off a cliff by adults before they could even get a chance to vote. Blue Bloods swelled their ranks to new heights looking out for the little guys during those years in exchange for favors later down the line. Lastly, and most importantly, they survived because they still had hope. You serious? I am. It's a powerful weapon. Hope for what? Hope that the Ikari had missed one, that they'd fled the country. Hope that a promised heir would grow strong and return one day, a triumphant little lord with overflowing riches and overwhelming power. Sounds like a fairy tale. Those endure for a reason. Well, now you know. A warning to watch where you step isn't worth much if you're fumbling around in the dark. Fairy tales and warnings. Hey, you ever pay attention to this graffiti down here? Strong is about Lobo and the cyberpunk and HBK increasingly. I haven't seen that myself. Was gonna say Red Hood. Why are you asking? You feel a chill down your spine? But except for HBK, that's all good old news. Ghost stories and campfire tales. There are lots of campsites around here. Lots of places to start fires. But Red Hood, I haven't heard that in who knows how long. It's one of the oldest. Rough story. It's based off a real event. Nothing worth recounting. I'll take your word for it. Hey, did your pals in OC ever hear about some blue blood hunter? Like a bounty hunter? Or huntsman, maybe. Where'd you hear that? Sosuke, I think you might have overheard talk of something like that while he was in captivity. Does it mean anything? Nope. I don't like the hesitation there, detective. Just an urban legend. I would have said the same thing about unlisted before this afternoon, and yet... Fair enough. If you see a huntsman and live to tell the tale, I'll buy you as many lotto tickets as you want. But what's gotten into you that you're feeling all superstitious? Guilty conscience? You mean about working with the mafia? A psychologist would call that projecting. Too far? Nah. Didn't feel a thing. Is he on to me? How is he on to me? Don't know why I asked, really. Guess I've just had an odd feeling all day. Like deja vu. You been here before? He's on to us! Shit! The unnerving certainty that we are in uncharted waters. Scary stuff. Fuck! Get as far away from him as possible. Ikaria, Blue Bloods, Megs, Orcas, dirty cops and criminal informants, lines drawn back and forth across the battlefield like a spider suspension bridge, dizzying in its complexity, frayed along any given strand, but one wrong move and you're completely ensnared. The Ikaria don't care about who tore through Creek's gang, but they would prefer Sosuke doesn't spend life in prison for killing a cop. The Blue Bloods want to tear Sosuke's throat out, but if Han's taken at her word, they're settling for 5 counts of murder. Can I take Han at her word? Is she a young blood like Creek, or is she with the old guard? Could I have asked London that? If I had, could I have trusted his answer? Because it turns out Cuisine London is much, much harder to read than I anticipated. And I can't even trust my client to act in his own self-interest. This man's a bodyguard for trade and a zealot for his house. The trial starts tomorrow. Do I still need more information? Is there time to find it? No, what I need right now is a nightcap. If I can't fall asleep, then I know I'm in trouble. Until then, guess sleep will have to wait. Pardon me for dropping in at such a late hour, Counselor Morgan. She cut through the light like a blade of spilt ink. But twice as sharp and not nearly as familiar. It is outside of normal consultation hours, Miss... like little lily petals shying away from the moonlight. What's a smirk by any other name? Please, call me Mireille. Any last name? The question floats in the air like a curling cigarette smoke. I could tell she was used to the smell. I'll leave that up to your imagination. Self-assured and apologetic, the unspoken family name loud as a signature, written in blood. You're from House Ikaria. Might I step inside? A forked tongue testing the temperature of the air. She wasn't asking for permission. Just you? What about your friends in the hallway? She raises an eyebrow but keeps staring at the floor. She's surprised at my perception of the unseen threat, but not quite impressed. I don't think they need to join us, do you? She was the kind of woman to make you remember. Smoking could kill. And that is going to be where we have to end the stream for today, because I got to go eat dinner. I will see you later. Goodbye, chat. Bye.